Every Thursday, like clockwork, I would get this box, and it was a mystery box. I didn't know what was going to be in it. The farmer's daughter, maybe 10 years old, would hand me my box and say, "You're going to want to use these greens today because they are so perfect. They were just picked and they're going to be delicious." And that little girl taught me how to get inspired by vegetables. I want to welcome you back to the Sovereign Kitchen Society. I am your host, Molly Bravo, and I am standing here in my beautiful kitchen in the Santa Cruz Mountains, my bare feet on the hardwood floor. I've got a big old basket of produce that still smells like the field that it came from. I've got these beautiful carrots with their greens still attached, beets that stain your fingers purple, and lettuce that actually tastes like it was picked either this morning or really late last night. It's still a little bit wet from the dew. And this is the world that I want to bring you into today. It's a world where food has a source and a story and a face. It's a world where you know your farmer by name. It's a world where your kitchen is going to feed your family the way that kitchens have always been meant to operate. And today, in this episode, we're going to talk about how to get back to that world. And it's not through some massive overhaul of your life, but through the simplest doorway imaginable. We're going to talk about CSAs. And I'm also going to share with you a little bit about wise traditions and the old world skills that are rebuilding sovereignty. I hope that by the end of this episode, you'll understand how these three things are going to fundamentally change your relationship with food, with your home, and with yourself. So let's get into it. The first thing that I want to talk about is how to join a CSA, because we need to get practical for a minute, okay? Someone right now is probably listening and thinking, "Molly, I love this concept, but how in the heck do I actually make it happen?" And this is what I want you to realize. I'm going to show you exactly how to start. The first thing that you want to do is you want to find a farm within 30 miles of where you live, because locality is what this whole exercise is about. I want you to check local harvest and I want you to ask at your farmers markets. What I typically do is I make friends with the people at the farmers markets, and then I try to get in touch with the oldest farmer that I can find, because they are typically the ones that are doing it the right way. And if they can't help me, I know that they'll be able to introduce me to somebody that can help me. The second thing is that you're going to look for transparency. So you're not going to be looking for a farm online that has like some beautiful, perfect branding or like fancy drone footage of their orchards. All of that is totally fine and dandy, and it's actually amazing in this day and age. But more importantly, what you want is a farm that is going to tell you the truth. You want to know what they grow. You want to know how they grow it. You want to know what they struggle with in a season, and you want to know what is abundant right now. And then, of course, you always want to know what they're the most proud of that they grow. If they send newsletters and they talk about the land and they talk about what they're most passionate about, that is your farm, okay? That is like exactly where you want to go. And then thirdly, you want to choose the kind of CSA that fits your lifestyle. So most farms actually offer CSAs. They offer veggie CSAs, which is like produce only. They offer full diet CSAs, which means that you can get everything that you need in a week: meat, eggs, dairy, produce. And then you also have specialty CSAs, which specialize in things like flowers or herbs or raw dairy and seafood. My advice to you is, if you're brand new, you need to start with vegetables, because the seasons are going to teach you how to eat. And then you want to decide, how are you going to pick up your box? Are you going to pick it up from a farm stand? Are you going to go to a neighborhood drop-off? How about a home delivery? Does that work best for your schedule and your lifestyle? You want to pick one that fits your particular rhythm and is going to be the easiest for you to work with. Because truthfully, that's what it's all about. We want these changes to be small, incremental changes that feel easy and doable. I want you to expect imperfection. Your carrots might be crooked. They might be curled. Your lettuce might have a slug or two. Your tomatoes might not come until late August. Good. That is so good. That's exactly what you want, because that is real world farming. That's the world that we're trying to get you to return to. We want to cook with abundance. So when the CSA box comes, this is going to be your rule. First thing that you're going to do is you're going to use the oldest thing in your refrigerator. You're going to use the produce that you didn't get to last week. You're going to roast everything. You're going to saute everything. You're going to ferment what overwhelms you, and you're going to freeze the rest. You are going to learn by doing. You're going to learn by trying, and you're going to learn by messing up a little and then discovering recipes that are going to save your entire farm box. I want to tell you a little story, and it's about the summer that I learned to eat seasonally. So I just want you to step into my little world for just a minute. I was probably, I don't know, 20 or 21 years old. I had just joined a CSA. I joined it on a whim. I had no idea what I was doing. I had been just stepping into professional cooking, but I was obsessed with all things organic and local. So I jumped in with both feet. I thought I knew food. I thought I knew flavor. I thought I knew how to cook. But in that particular summer, when I got that first farm box, I learned more in that particular week than I probably ever learned in culinary school. Because every Thursday, like clockwork, I would get this box, and it was a mystery box. I didn't know what was going to be in it. The farmer's daughter, maybe 10 years old, would hand me my box and say, "You're going to want to use these greens today because they are so perfect. They were just picked and they're going to be delicious." And that little girl taught me how to get inspired by vegetables. Because yes, I'm inspired when I go and I look in the grocery store and I see all the colors of the rainbow. But I'm even more inspired when I know that a little girl handpicked those vegetables or that lettuce, handed it to me, and said, "I promise you, you're going to love this. You have to try it." It's kind of like being in elementary school when you're growing your first radish in the garden and you don't even like radishes, but then you try one because you grew it and it's like the best thing that you've ever tasted. It's peppery and it's sharp and it's super crunchy, and all of a sudden you fall in love with radishes. It's the same thing with a farm box. You're going to become inspired by the ingredients that you're working with. So I would take that box and I would learn to cook with it. I would learn to cook with whatever the land was giving me in that particular week. And it might not be necessarily what I felt like eating, but it's what I had. And so that's what I made. I started to cook according to the seasons and what the seasons had to offer me. It broke me open in a way that I had never been broken open before. It softened me. It humbled me. It made me slow down. It made me super grateful for the produce that I was eating and the nutrients that I was feeding my body and that I was able to serve to my customers and my family and the people that I love. I learned to saute beet greens because I had a lot of them. I learned to saute them with just a little bit of garlic and lemon. I learned to pickle radish tops. I learned to make cold cucumber soup when the temperature was like 100 degrees. I learned to ferment cabbage before it wilted. I learned to freeze herbs in ice cube trays so that I could pull them out in January when the sun wasn't out and it was raining too hard to go outside and pick my herbs. A CSA is going to teach you how to live in rhythm with the seasons. I also want to talk to you a little bit about the 11 pillars of wise traditions, because these are the building blocks of a traditional kitchen. I want to talk about the blueprint for how human beings have been nourished for thousands of years. So the 11 pillars are simple reminders, and a CSA is going to help you practice every single one of these traditions. So let's go through them in a way that I teach inside of the Pantry of Plenty, which is just super simple and grounded. The first thing that I want to talk to you about is nose to tail eating. CSAs have the opportunity of giving you bones and organ meats and chicken feet and fat and all of those sacred cuts that grocery stores will not serve you. And then broth actually becomes this incredibly medicinal elixir that you can drink every day or when you're not feeling well, and it will just nurse you back to health. The second pillar is fermented foods. If you have too much cabbage, you can make sauerkraut. If you have too many cucumbers, you can make pickles. If you have too many peppers, you can make fermented salsa. Nature is going to lead your way and you are going to follow. The third pillar is all about raw dairy. A lot of CSAs partner with raw dairy farms or herd shares. In our county, we work with Claravelle Dairy Farm. They are amazing. They serve raw milk, cream, cheese. These are all kind of like the building blocks of really strong teeth, strong bones, and a super calm nervous system, believe it or not. The fourth pillar is about preparing your grains properly. You're going to discover heirloom grains. You're going to use local mills, and you are going to learn to work with sourdough starter. You're eating bread that your body actually recognizes. Pillar 5 is pastured meats and eggs. You're going to have real egg yolks, real nutrients, real animals raised by real people, not factory farming, not cage-free marketing schemes, but actual real food. Then you have seasonal eating. This is the heart of all of it. You eat according to the season, you eat according to the land, and you stop fighting nature so that you can start living with her. And then pillar 7 is sacred animal fats. It's all about rendering lard, saving tallow, learning that fat is not the enemy. It's actually the foundation of super healthy living. And then there's bone broth. When bones come into your box, you're going to learn to make broth like it's second nature. There will always be a pot of broth boiling on your stovetop. It's going to be part of your weekly rhythm and your weekly routine because, quite frankly, it should be. Waste not, want not. We want to use every single part of the animal to give thanks for all of the wonderful abundance that it has given us. And then there's wild seafood. You know, some CSAs offer wild caught fish, and when you taste that, you will never be able to go back. I was fortunate because my dad would go to Alaska multiple times per year and bring home hundreds of pounds of salmon and halibut, and that is all I've ever known. I realize that some people aren't as fortunate as to have that connection. So I am just saying that a CSA is the best place to find the freshest, best local seafood. Then you have community. And this is everything, you guys. A CSA member community is all about connecting with your people. It's all about learning together. It's all about swapping recipes and trading jars and building relationships with people that are walking a similar path as you. And this is also how we build sovereignty. It's a culture. It's how we rebuild what has practically been lost. And it's not about shouting from the rooftops that systems are failing us, but it's actually by coming back together, connecting over a homemade meal, and feeding each other. So if you are ready to get started, let's land on something that is real, something that you can actually start today. This is going to be your first step. The first thing that you're going to do is you're going to reach out to a local farm, just one. You're going to send them a DM. You're going to sign up for their newsletter. You're going to ask them a question. If you're feeling brave, go visit their farm. Most farms have open door policies. I know that Marquee Guard has an open door policy up in San Gregorio, and you can actually walk the fields, meet the animals, feel the soil, and you'll know instantly if it's your farm. Your spirit is going to tell you. The second step is that you're going to cook one thing from scratch this week. It doesn't have to be fancy. It can just be a simple pot of beans, a loaf of sourdough, maybe a jar of fermented carrots, but you have to start somewhere. And then the third step is that you're going to start paying attention to the seasons. You're going to pay attention to what is growing right now. What is the cheapest at the farmer's market? What's abundant? That abundance is your invitation. It's a way to structure support. And if you want someone to hold your hand through the whole old world skills, then this is exactly why I created the Pantry of Plenty, because it is truly a roadmap that goes back to a sovereign kitchen. It's where you're going to learn the traditional skills that build confidence, rhythm, and independence. And you do not have to do this alone. You're absolutely not meant to do it alone. And that's where we're going to wrap things up today. So if you're still listening, and if this is something that's inside of you that feels like it's waking up and that it's not an accident that you found this podcast and you've listened to the whole thing, then that is your sign. It's a memory. It's lineage. And it is the part of you that knows that you were meant to live a life that you are designing from the ground up. It's a life that's rooted and grounded and slow and deeply connected to life. CSAs are not a trend. They have been around for a very long time. Old world skills are making a comeback, and I implore you to start learning these old world skills and bringing them into your modern kitchen so that you have the opportunity of setting your family up for success and eating the way that our ancestors always ate, because it is truly the blueprint for a human that is thriving. And you deserve to thrive. Your kids deserve to thrive, and your family deserves to thrive. So I want you to start small. I want you to start now. And I want you to start with whatever is right in front of you. Your sovereignty begins the moment that you decide to return to the root. I'm Molly Bravo. You've been listening to the Sovereign Kitchen Society. I want to thank you so much for being here. I want to thank you for choosing this path and walking alongside me. And thank you for remembering who you are. I'll see you next week. Remember that food is and always will be our medium for connection.